Today, we're diving into an ancient debate. But what we're going to find is a surprisingly modern message, one that really hits home in our world obsessed with control. So, let's start with a challenge. A pretty bold one, right? Even an inanimate post would tremble. That's from a guy named Saccaka, and he wasn't kidding. He was the famous, undefeated debater in ancient India. A total master of rhetoric who was convinced that absolutely no one could stand up to him in an argument. All right, so part one, the unbeatable debater. You got to picture this guy, Saccaka. He wasn't just smart, he was basically the intellectual celebrity of his time, a real showman who loved a big public showdown. So naturally, when he hears about this new teacher on the block, the Buddha, and sees his ideas getting popular, well, Saccaka smells an opportunity. He thinks, I'm going to take this guy down in public and add another win to my perfect record. So Saccaka does his homework. He finds out the Buddha's teaching that everything we experience, our bodies, our feelings, our thoughts, is impermanent and, crucially, not self. And Saccaka just looks at this and thinks, that's it? That's his big idea? To him, it sounds like some flimsy philosophical point that he can just absolutely shred to pieces. Okay, on to section 2, the Buddha's counter-argument. So Saccaka, with his whole entourage of 500 followers, 500, marches into the forest to confront the Buddha. He is beyond confident. He is absolutely sure he's about to prove once and for all that his self is real, it's solid, and he is in complete command. And he lays it all out. He says, look, my body, that's my true self. My feelings, my true self. My thoughts, that's me. He's basically throwing down the gauntlet, arguing point blank against the Buddhist teaching of not self. It's setting up for what looks like a classic philosophical duel. But hold on. To really get what the Buddha does next, we can't just take this simple dictionary translation. We've got to become linguistic detectives here. Because the real genius, the knockout punch of the whole argument, is totally hidden in the original language. A surface-level translation just isn't going to get us there. Which brings us to section 3, unlocking the ancient code. And to do that, to really see what's going on, we need a couple of ancient tools to help us find the hidden meaning behind the words. So the first one is called Niruti. Think of it as the root code. It's all about digging down to a word's deepest original meaning, not just what the dictionary says. The second one is Atha, which is like the deeper purpose. It's about getting the real intent behind the teaching. Why was it said this way? Put them together and you can see past the surface level right to the heart of what's being said. Okay, so let's apply this code to the most important word in this whole debate, anatta. Seriously, everything hinges on this one single powerful word from the Pali language. Get this word right and you unlock the entire thing. All right, section 4, not self versus uncontrollable. And folks, this is where the entire debate flips on its head. It all comes down to the real meaning of that one word. So you look up anatta in a dictionary and you'll get not self. Okay, fine. That's a philosophical idea, right? Something abstract you think about. But when we use that Niruti tool, when we dig down to the root meaning, we get something totally different. We get uncontrollable. And that is not a philosophical idea. That's a felt experience. It's a gut punch. See how this changes everything? Not self is an idea you kind of ponder. Uncontrollable is a reality you feel, right here, in your body. Suddenly we see the Buddha wasn't even trying to make a philosophical point about what the self is. He was making a super practical point about what you can and cannot do. The debate just went from a head trip to a gut check. And now for the main event. Section 5, the great takedown. Because now that we have the key that anatta really means uncontrollable, we can see the absolutely brilliant trap the Buddha is about to spring. So the Buddha asks, Saccaka, you claim your body is yourself. Okay, so can you exercise control over it? Can you just command it, hey body, be this way, don't be that way? Notice what he did there? He didn't argue about identity. He just pivoted the entire debate to be about one thing, control. And Saccaka is silent. Total silence. Think about it. His whole game plan was to prove his self exists. But the Buddha just completely changed the rules of the game. Now Saccaka has to prove he has absolute control over his body. And he knows he can't. I mean, come on, you can't even stop a sneeze on command, let alone tell your body not to age. So the Buddha asks a second time, and again, nothing. Saccaka is just silent.
You can just imagine the tension building. This great debater is totally trapped. Then the Buddha gives him one final warning. And it's at that moment Saccaka knows it's over. His whole argument, all his big talk, is just crumbling right in front of everyone.
Terrified, Saccaka finally caves. He admits it. No, I cannot. He has to say it, right there in front of his 500 followers. The very thing he just claimed was his self, his body, is in fact not under his control.
And then the Buddha delivers the knockout blow. It's almost poetic. He just calmly says, "And yet, Saccaka, sweat is pouring from your forehead. But right now, there is no sweat on my body." Wow. It's a live demonstration. The guy who claims to be master of his self can't even control his own sweat. The ultimate irony. So, how much control did Saccaka really have in that moment? Zero. Absolutely zero. The self-proclaimed master of control was, when it really counted, completely out of control. And the crowd sees it too. His humiliation is just total. One of the spectators even mocks him, saying, "He's like a crab with all its claws broken off, unable to get back to the safety of its pond." His intellectual defenses were just completely shuttered, leaving him totally exposed. You see, the debate was never really about philosophy. This gets back to that idea of atta, the deeper purpose. The Buddha wasn't just trying to win an argument. He was putting on a live demonstration for everyone there, showing them a fundamental truth. Our suffering, our anxiety, it comes from this desperate struggle to control things that are, by their very nature, completely uncontrollable. Okay, last section, why this still matters. So what's the big takeaway for us, right here, right now, from this 2,500-year-old intellectual smackdown? Well, first, we believe we're in control of our bodies, our thoughts, our feelings. Second, because of that belief, we're constantly trying to exert more control, right? We micromanage everything. And third, what this ancient text is screaming at us is that this struggle, this is the very source of our anxiety. It connects so directly to today. We are obsessed with optimizing and managing every little detail of our lives. But this story suggests that whole effort, trying to control the uncontrollable, that isn't the solution. It's the actual problem. Which leaves us with this final kind of mind-bending question. What if the greatest freedom we can find isn't in gaining control, but in realizing we never truly had it in the first place? This story really flips our whole idea of freedom on its head. We think it's about getting more power, more control. But maybe, just maybe, real peace comes from the exact opposite, from finally learning how to let go.